Okay, now let's finish the unit circle. We left off with the third quadrant here for 3 pi over 2. That is the equivalent of 270 degrees. And my point would be 0, -1. Okay, think about in the fourth quadrant, my x values are positive, but my y values are negative. Okay, so think about that as we're filling out our points. As far as the angle values, if this is 270, then we're at 300, 315, and 330, and then back to 360 for 2 pi. Okay, so if I want to start with 5 pi over 3, I would use the 30, 60, 90 triangle. So what is the value of x? It's going to be the short side. So a positive 1/2, negative square root of 3 over 2 will give you the y value. Okay, then for 315, we use the 45, 45, 90. And again, this would be a positive square root of 2 over 2 and a negative square root of 2 over 2. And then for 330 degrees, use the 30, 60, 90. And I need to flip it around. The x value would be the long side, square root of 3 over 2. And then the y value would be negative 1/2. Okay, so now you should have the unit circle complete. Okay, like I said at the beginning of this, it'll be a good idea for you to memorize at least the first quadrant here, especially these points, and then look at what the patterns are. You know, we see these same points repeated, just the sign may be different depending on what quadrant you're in. You will be asked to find things on the homework such as, what is the sign of pi over 4? Okay, so the sign of pi over 4, if you think about your unit circle, we said that sine is equal to the y value, so that means the sine of pi over 4 is the square root of 3 or square root of 2 over 2. So if it asks you what is the cosine of 3 pi over 4, well, you locate 3 pi over 4 on your unit circle. The cosine would be the x value, so that would be the square root of 2 over 2. Okay, what if they ask you for the tangent? What is the tangent of 3 pi over 4? Well, tangent is y over x. So what do I get if I put the square root of 2 over 2 over itself, but one of them's negative? Okay, it would be -1, so that would be the tangent of 3 pi over 4 would be -1. As you look at the different values, you'll see in the first quadrant, because my x's and y's are all positive, that if you have an angle that's in the first quadrant, it's going to have a positive sine and a positive cosine and a positive tangent. Okay, so in the first quadrant we say that all of our trig functions are positive. Okay, the reciprocal would have the same sign as the function, so in the first quadrant they're all going to be positive. In the second quadrant, sine is positive because it's the y, cosine is negative because it's the x, and tangent is negative because it's the quotient of those two. So in the second quadrant we say that sine is positive. There's a little place for you to put positive and negative, and cosine and tangent are both negative in the second quadrant, okay, along with their reciprocals. So when I say sine, I also mean cosecant is positive. When I say cosine is negative, that means secant is negative, and then same thing here with tangent, that cotangent is negative. In the third quadrant, okay, we see that my x's are negative, my y's are negative, so that means that sine and cosine are negative. But what about tangent? If I put a negative over a negative, that means tangent is positive. in the third quadrant. Okay, fourth quadrant, if I have an angle in the fourth quadrant, x's are positive, so that means cosine is positive, but then sine is negative, and then also tangent is negative. Okay, so a way that you can remember that, we say first quadrant, I'll just kind of write this out for you. We say first quadrant, all are positive, sine is positive in the second, tangent's positive in the third, cosine is positive in the fourth. So we say all students take calculus. Okay, that's just a way that you can remember the signs of the functions.